Why has the dollar been dampened?
Because the U.S. isn't the only economy where rates are going up. So because there's a focus on rates potentially going up in Europe over the next year or 2 years, and there are obviously rates increases in a number of emerging markets, the Fed is no longer leading the global pack.
But is the Fed being underestimated at the moment? At the moment, the market is pricing in 1.5 for the rest of the year. Every Fed speaker I hear at the moment tells me that the Fed is on rails and we're doing 2 more and maybe even more.
So I think it will be underestimated by the time we get to the end of the year, meaning the Fed is likely to deliver 2 more hikes. That's not fully in the price.
Yep.
I think the difficulty for the bond market is ever pricing in more than a hike and a half, more than the current number. And it's simply because the U.S. economy has performed so inconsistently. And because of that, it's difficult to get a sustained sell-off in bonds and rally in the dollar.
Roger, we'll get to Brexit and all that here in a bit. Lots to talk about there. Important comments from you in the Telegraph. Help us with a capital economics view of where GDP will be, particularly in the United States. There seems to be a fan distribution among economists from 3% plus on down to a certain level of gloom and doom. Which is it?
Yeah, it ain't going to be 3% plus. But we're pretty confident about the US economy. And actually, I think the key thing as far as rates are concerned is what that's going to mean for inflationary pressure. We think that inflationary pressure is going to be building.
Okay, so help John Norman here with an economic briefing this morning. I know you're getting this from Bruce Kasman as well. Does that just assume stronger dollar, Roger?
I don't think that the stronger dollar is going to have much impact on all that, quite frankly. The key thing is, you know, how is inflation responding in today's world to a tightening economy and a tightening labour market? We don't know the answer, but I think the early signs are there of inflationary pressures building.
Are we at the point, and this was a conversation yesterday for the Bank of England as well, they've lowered Nehru, they're trying to figure out exactly when this stuff starts to pop. The bank saying it believes that wages are going to start rising. Is that going to happen at some point in the not-too-distant future?
I think in the States the answer is yes.
Is it happening now?
I think you can see the early signs of it happening now, yes. Now, of course, this is very difficult territory because we don't know how far the new economy has actually changed from the old relationships, and it could well be that the Fed gets this wrong. But, you know, the background to this is we've had very low rates for a very long time, and I think the dangers of carrying on with that are building. This has got to be in the back of the Fed's mind. So I don't think they're going to want to give too much leeway on this.
John, you talked about the other elements to these pairs, and the euro is obviously one big factor in that mix when it comes to the dollar index. The output gap is enormous in Europe. Well, in certain bits of Europe, it's clearly not particularly big in Germany. The ECB's got time, doesn't it? Yeah, they take the language to neutral, but they're not going to do anything else beyond that in a hurry, are they?
Well, they have lots of time if you think they're guided by only one variable, which is inflation.
Well, I thought that was the single needle in the compass, according to Jean-Claude Trichet.
It's officially the only needle in the compass, but de facto they look at, I think, a greater range of indicators. And I think as long as the economy is delivering above-trend growth, as it has been doing for about a year and a half, and as long as there's political pushback on the idea that the ECB should be engaged in such unconventional monetary policy, you can have changes in their policy setting, both QE and negative rates, even without inflation being a near-term issue. And that, to me, is why you get the sell-off in bonds and a rise in the euro.